Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. All right, guys, we have Paulo here today. If you don't know, we had him here last week. We talked about dark pools. It was very interesting to identify how we utilize different tools as traders to really give us supporting evidence to our thesis when we're looking at a chart. If you didn't see last week's video, I certainly hope you'll take a look at it. And then, Paulo, today you wanted to talk about high conviction or like option flow. And tell us how you use option flow and what does that tool really enable you to? Because you're a very experienced trader. You do this full time. You're now doing not only manual, but you're doing automations as well. Tell us your experience with option flow and is that a beneficial tool to be able to access?
All right, absolutely beneficial. Starting strongly. Options flow, I would say it's one of my favorite tools, my favorite features we can find on our server. We have plenty different AI powered tools, and they do give you a nice edge that if you were be trading the market without data. What I like to say is that we do have to trade based on what the chart signal and price action and what we can see right on our chart layouts, but you don't know what is going out inside, right? It's like being a doctor. You might see like a person and he seems healthy, but you want to know what's going on inside of the body, and you cannot know that with your eyes. You have to do an X-ray, right? And then you're going to see if the bones, if the internals and the biology are healthy for that person or not. It's exactly the same in stocks. We can have the chart. We can see a bullish breakout. We can see a bullish breakdown. We can see many patterns, but we don't know what the market internals are actually signaling. It's always important to back the price action with this data. Last week, we saw the dark pool levels, right? Which is a good market internal to add. And today we would be looking at the net flow levels. Options flow, in reality, net flow is one way of viewing the options flow.
And what
Yes.
does the net flow mean? For those people out there that are beginners, they don't really know about option flow. What does net flow actually mean? Before we dive into the next trade setup, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Sandra. I teach everyday traders how to use automation to trade smarter. If that sounds like your style, make sure to subscribe and check out the resources in the description to get started.
The net flow would be a layout, a type of interpreting that options flow, right? Which sums the bullish flow with the bearish flow and all the open interest positions, right? And it gives you, its name says, a net between the bullish flow and the bearish flow.
Yep.
And it lets us know what is the pressure on calls, what is the pressure on puts. And that usually indicates us what is the trend developing. We can filter, for example, different options flow, different net flow. We can see the whole net flow from today. We can also request to the bots net flow going back to 1 week, 2 weeks, and that is going to let us know the trend. For example, I always like to compare the 5-day time frame against the daily net flow. In the 5-day time frame, we can view the past flow on the days. That would be a bit the trend.
I was looking at BABA. There was a lot of high conviction flow coming in to BABA, and this was just a couple days ago, and it increased yesterday, but really BABA was going sideways. And this really, when we talk about supporting evidence and how you can utilize these tools to make you more confident about maybe not only that, oh, there may be an increase in net flow, but when is the breakout? Because I don't want to miss it, but I certainly don't want to buy a long call if the market is choppy and going sideways, because it just takes your premium away, that your long call has to work twice as hard to make profit. And I don't know if you were looking at BABA at all. Did you end up checking that out? Because, today we had a nice big pop, but it took 2 days.
Absolutely.
Net flow.
Absolutely. Let's check it out. Let me reshare my screen here 1 second.
Sure.
And here we're going to bring our net
box. When we're done with our presentation today, we'll be taking questions and we'll go through those. But I'm hoping that you're liking these little snapshots of education and lessons that could possibly help you get more familiar with the market, as well as, right, just getting exposure to experienced traders their tools and what they're using. And I think that may just, broaden your horizons a little bit about how important it is to have that supporting evidence and confidence in making a decision when it has to deal with your capital.
All right, perfect. So we have here the BABA chart. And first, we're going to analyze the stock just on price action, and then we're going to bring that options flow data, which I don't know yet which is going to be. So we're going to check it, and it will be a surprise for everyone. I yet don't know what is in it. Okay, so just starting here in the monthly time frame, Alibaba looks like we had a big correction after that pandemic market. And this initially seems to be an accumulation phase here, a potential stage 1 week of accumulation. When we go into the weekly chart, we can actually see the same pattern developing. We actually had a break above this accumulation pennant pattern, like a rectangular pennant pattern, right? We broke above that level, and we have been retesting it. The retests have not been the most clean retest, but keeping in mind the trade deal with China on, trade deal with China out, not the cleanest bounce, but still we're bouncing from the range and going higher. What we see also on the indicators is we see here a bullish cross. We're seeing the 40-week moving average, which it's the same as the 200 daily moving average applied on the weekly time frame. We're seeing it crossing the 200-week moving average right here. So that would be letting us know that BABA on the weekly chart is starting to build a good bull case here. Also, we are bouncing from that 200-day moving average, 40-week moving average. It's the same. We can see once we crossed it, first bounce on the 40-week moving average, second bounce, third bounce. So we are currently using that 40-week moving average, 200 daily moving average as support. So on the charts, this looks here like a buy setup. This one is already outdated, and it's looking strongly like a buy setup. Now, I want to know if I can trust this move or not, right? As we were mentioning with the X-ray. The body here, right, if we would be a doctor, seems healthy, but we need to know what's going on internally, right? We go here into our bot queries channel, and first we request the trading bot for the net flow. We type that, we go for the net flow command, and we type BABA. The first thing I would like to do is I would like to see it on the 5-day time frame. I choose days and numbers, and I choose 5. What do we see here?
Yeah, I see it's looking dang good.
This one is looking very strong. This is the 5-day time frame net flow. Starting August 7, it has 5 days of market activity. We were a bit oscillating here, no clear setup. But what we see is that yesterday, this was, I think, August 12 or August 11. Here, we had that break, that cross with strong volume. This was actually August 12th. We're having that big development here of this bullish flow. We can see that the green line is bullish flow, the red line is the bearish flow, and then we have the white line, which is the price action. We're having here that breakout, and this is currently on the 5-day time frame signaling bullish momentum. Now, what I want to see is, now I know that the trend is bullish for BABA. Now, if I request the 1-day time frame, only today's activity, let's see if today we're seeing continuation of this flow.
And then I think what would
We're
be a great
requesting here.
idea is to go into the high conviction and actually
Yes.
look at some of the signals that came out yesterday and the day before on BABA.
Oh,
Pair them with your net flow from this tool. Two different tools
absolutely.
giving us information, but certainly like a trade alert, the high conviction channel definitely lets us know when we have big money going into a specific ticker. This is interesting on your daily right here.
On the daily, we see we're seeing continuation of that momentum. The bearish flow is not actually appearing at all in today's session. The bullet flow is actually continuing higher here. We could expect continuation of that momentum. And now let's go here with the high conviction by Jarvis. Well, looks like it's the main star. BABA here. BABA 130 calls for August 15. Okay, BABA 135, BABA 130. BABA 130, BABA 140, BABA.
Now that's everything today, right? But BABA actually
all
came
today.
out like a day or two ago. And so what this does is sometimes people will complain that, hey, we got this high conviction alert that comes out, and then yet the stock just kind of stays in consolidation for 2 days. But it's almost as if, like, as that money is going in to the coffers of BABA, how it really takes high momentum to get that thing going. And as soon as it starts going, now you can see all the orders coming in. And so if we can react more like institutions, right, then we're following the trend. They may give us an identification that, hey, we're starting to enter BABA, but when is it your time to enter BABA so that you don't get into a trade, it consolidates, and then all of a sudden you lost 25% or 35%. It hits your stop loss already. And then, of course, what ends up happening the very next day or the very next hour, it starts to rocket. So if we could go back, let's see, what day are you on here? If Okay, let's scroll up to yesterday. Right. And so this is identifiable with,
14.
now go back to August 12th. I think that's when the first 3 rocket BABA came out, was on, I believe, the 11th or the 12th. And there it is right there with the 3 rockets. What we do, I have a school community, guys. It's SKOOL.com/trading made simple /about. And in there, we give these high conviction alerts. And really, what we've done is programmed our system to where we're only looking at high conviction with 3 rockets, which really makes it strong. So, as you can see, on the 12th, we got one of those alerts. And then today, I don't know, we have 18 of those alerts. And so you can actually see the footprint when it starts, right? And so it's incumbent on you to either get into a trade that can handle consolidation. And what would that be, guys? A debit spread. A debit spread would be an easier trade. It allows you to have diamond hands because a debit spread has 2 legs. You're buying a call, as an example, and then you're selling a call. That creates a hedge position. That hedge position doesn't move as fast up or down as a regular call, long call, or a long put. And so really then when you're starting to think about, if you're a little bit more experienced and you have access to be able to trade debit spreads, as an example, you could start utilizing the different strategies when these market environments happen, knowing, right? Knowing what the trend in, what is the pattern that these institutions do? They give you a little piece of evidence to let you know that they're starting to put in real money. Now, if we go back on BABA, we could see a lot of 2 rockets. But really, those 2 rockets, and as you can see, 1, 2, I mean, it's really like almost like 4 or 5 days. The 1, 2 rockets don't really make a huge effect on price action. But as soon as the 3 rockets come in, now I'm identifying what's BABA doing. Let me put it on the chart and see what's happening. And then, of course, as soon as you get 2 or more 3 rockets on BABA, this is the time to enter a trade. Just something to take in consideration. Paulo, as you now look at the high conviction and you're looking at your chart and then the net flow, what would typically be your plan of action when you see something come out? Or do you just have like the Mag 7 and that's all you trade? Or do you actually trade other alerts as they come out, such as option flow like BABA or something else?
What I like to do for spotting potential trades is, well, first addressing your comment, I wanted to add a bit onto the high conviction and ETF conviction. The high conviction and ETF conviction doesn't necessarily mean a move has to be right now. It's not a short-term instant expected move, but what we would like to use here, the high conviction and the ETF conviction, is this buy or sell signals trigger different market indicators. They study all the market indicators internal for a stock, and they can trigger a buy or sell signal. Our first step is to identify which is the common trade. If you just have one trade, it could be a false signal. But if 1, 2, 3 days, you have a position constantly repeating buy or sell, that potentially signals that that position would be an early indication that we could head into that direction. In this case, we're seeing 2-3 days of bullish flow here accumulating for BABA. That doesn't necessarily mean instantly buy the position. That means go into the chart and try to see what is signaling. The options flow, as well as the high conviction, it's going to signal that we should keep this ticker in our watch list, but our entry or exit will depend on price action. Remember, options flow, it's only additional confirmation to price action. We're not going to blindly trade options flow because options flow, for example, they can trigger a call on an accumulation range, right? We are consolidating, institutional big money is accumulating for a potential breakout, but that doesn't necessarily mean that breakout will be today or tomorrow. We can know that in the chart. First, that on how to use the high conviction ETF. In this case, I didn't actually notice BABA yesterday, but if I would have noticed it, I would notice, oh, okay, BABA is having a lot of bullish flow. What do we have here on the chart? Then I go to the chart and I will go with the weekly first. One second.
And then I just
So this is what we do.
while you work on your chart real quick, I'm going to answer a couple of these questions about this specific topic.
Of course.
The rockets, I think someone couldn't actually see the rockets. Could you go back to our Discord and just show them, point out the rockets? And then I'll make a comment on that, just if you could. Perfect. Paulo, could you just point at the rockets so they can visually see it? Because sometimes, there we go. There is the rockets right there, guys. And because we have so many of these alerts, right? As a trader, when you have a lot of trader tools, is what we call that in our community. When you have a lot of trader tools, we really want to try to limit the exposure that you're getting to too much information. Too much information is overload, and it will just create analysis paralysis. What we tried to do as an example in the SKOOL community is only knock on your door, send it to you as a trade idea when the first 3 rockets pop up. When the first 3 rockets pop up, that's when you know that you got flow coming in to that ticker. And like Paulo is saying, this is an indication of, hey, let's take a look at this and what else can I do? All right, now that we answered a couple of those questions, go ahead, Paulo. Hey traders, if you're finding this helpful, go ahead and tap that like and subscribe. We drop fresh trading setups and automation tips every day. And trust me, what's coming up next could level up your game. The links to learn more about us and our system and team are in the description below.
All right, so after we have realized that BABA is showing that bullish flow, we go into the chart. So we bring here trading view, and on the weekly, as we mentioned, it looks like we are recovering that breakout. We could be on the verge of a stage 2 week of markup. It could be a very powerful move. So before we go here with Bob, if you are wondering what a stage 2 looks like and how powerful they can be, let me show you a chart that has here, where is it? Roblox.
This type of analysis that Paulo is doing, it's specifically called Elliott wave theory. And this is a way of analyzing data, price action in waves. And so that is exactly what Paulo is talking about right now.
Perfect. So applying yield wave analysis, also week of market stages, we can do pretty solid projections for price actions for different indices, ETFs, tickers. So what we see here in Roblox is a stage 1 accumulation. And here we start a stage 2 breakout.
Wow.
We can see a strong move like that. We can see it on many stocks. For example, let me show you 1 second, and then we get back to BABA so that we can know what we're talking about. For example, Palantir.
Wow, great, guys. This may be a trade idea for you, BABA, since we're doing a deep dive on the analysis as well as net flow.
This one here was a previous cycle. Then we had accumulation into stage 2. So when we go back to BABA, what I would be looking at on the weekly time frame is that seems that we are breaking above a stage 1. We could be going for a stage 2. So how to use that high conviction. Then we go into the daily and we try to chart. And what is it that we see? We see here a inverse head and shoulders pattern. See the left shoulder, we see the neckline, we see the second neckline, we see the right shoulder, and what we're seeing is the breakout. So we have seen how after this pullback, we are forming this inverse head and shoulders. And where is it coming? It's coming right on the retest of this descending trend line. So when did that happen? That happened August 5. Then here we were on August 11. And now we're seeing this big gap up on the daily, confirming the inverse head and shoulders pattern with a breakaway gap, which would be a clear buy signal. And how do we know that we can trust this setup? First of all, of course, this setup can get outdated. Price action charts get updated. Multiple things could happen that could invalidate the breakout. But we know that this is a valid breakout and a valid buy setup because we have that flow. We have that flow too of our AI powered alert. We got the bullish flow back up by TradingIndicators, right? Remember when we saw net flow for TradingIndicators? Let me actually bring it here again.
Yeah, and I think that the thing about when you have a tool that you're actually see, we are the ones who created the ticker to enter into this tool. But the other tool is the one that actually gave it to us as a trade idea to do the further investigation on. And so for those of you, because I know a lot of people want to know, how do you come up with these ideas or these stocks? And so the option flow, as retail traders, we're trend traders. So we're following trend. And there are no retail money that actually make those candles move on the chart. It's all institutional money. So how do you keep track of what the institutions are doing? It's by having these types of services, right, that you can investigate with. And so we
Correct.
got BABA from the high conviction. Then we check the net flow. And then Paulo is an experienced chart analysis trader. And so he knows all the patterns, he knows Elliott wave. I mean, this takes years and years to develop a skill in order to not only teach it, but also to feel comfortable with the information that you're seeing on a chart. I recognize that a lot of you are beginners out there. And so we do try to make things easy. So even though all this stuff is being thrown at you, 2 meetings ago, we actually talked about patterns and tools on ThinkorSwim that show you actually he's drawing the pattern himself, but that there's actually a tool on ThinkorSwim that will draw it for you if it recognizes it as a pattern. So if you haven't seen that video, I hope you go back to our meeting so that you can keep up with some of this information, because we're just going to expand on this as well as to tell you, hey, look, if you're a trader and you're thinking that, hey, I personally think, and I've done all of this, and as I'm retired now, I don't want to trade one job for another. And though these tools are very interesting and exciting, they give you trade ideas, there are simple ways to utilize this information in automation, of course, to be able to get away from the computer and not have to do as much analysis as it takes. But go ahead, Paulo.
So we have here that bullet breakout on the flow for BABA. So what we see is that this breakout on the chart, this breakaway gap with the confirmation of the inverse head and shoulders, is currently back out by strong bullish flow for BABA. So this lets us know that the odds of this trade developing as expected, which would be long, are very high compared to if there was no bullish flow backing up this move. If we spot, for example, this very bullish chart, and then we go into the trading ticks and we just don't see any bullish flow at all, I would be a bit more skeptical of that position. I might even pass. And I would look for other stocks that could have a bullish flow and also the chart. So sometimes you might find it first looking into the charts. I have my watch list. I do quick runs on the ticker. So if I see any pattern that's eye popping, it's evident that pattern is there, And then I go and I check the flow to see if I can back it up. Other times it can be inverse. Maybe first I'm doing a flow run on the trading ticks with commands such as stop flow. Let me show you how that one works.
Yeah, that's a good
Net
one. I
flows.
used to use that quite a bit.
Let me show it. And sometimes I actually request net flow for all the stocks. I go like in a rampage market net flow, 30
You're going
tickers,
through a rampage?
and I show you how I do it here. So top flow filters you the most bullish and bearish flow data, but only today, only one trading session. So we have it for AMD, Netflix, and Apple. Those would be the top 3 bullish flow stocks from today. Bearish flow, we have NVIDIA. The others, no, I wouldn't take this flow seriously. It's very small flow. I would say the top flow is currently telling us bullish Apple, Netflix, and AMD, bearish NVIDIA. And I go into the charts and I bring NVIDIA, for example. Oh, no, my God. NVIDIA, what we're seeing, it goes all the way back to Liberation Day tariffs crash on April. NVIDIA was trading at 85. Imagine that. We're 180. Crazy. 95 points. More than 100% gain for NVIDIA stock since then. Okay, we're breaking down on that channel pattern. Initially, price action would be telling me short, right? But now I want to know, is this a real breakdown or not?
Right.
I go into the Discord. I already know NVIDIA is showing 2-day bearish flows. Let's double check that. Let's double check this here. I go into net flow, symbol NVIDIA. Now request the flow data for today. I want to back up if this is real bearish flow. We can see the top flow here showing this bearish flow for NVIDIA. It's exactly what we see here. You can see the bearish flow, bullish flow decreasing, momentum also bearish. I do know today's volume is it's strongly bearish, but what I would like to know is if that is just today or is NVIDIA in the past trading sessions in reality accumulating bearish flows. Now to know the trend, I request the 5-day time. Oh, we see on the 5-day time frame. This is
Just
actually,
starting, isn't it?
this would be the trade. It is just starting. And here we can see this was not much bullish flow because it was only 10 points. That's not much volume. And we were chopping the rep. This, what, well, yeah, we could call it a chop. This chop around here on the net flow is indicating the distribution we were seeing in these days. The net flow here going from bullish to not bullish to bullish to not bullish was indicating that there was no real momentum backing up a potential bullish breakout. Now we actually broke down. As you mentioned, we see the process just happening on the 5-day time frame.
Yes.
Bears went up, bulls gave up, bears stepped in here. Market net flow in reality right now would be indicating a strong short setup for NVIDIA. And that doesn't mean NVIDIA should remain bearish for eternity. This is like price action.
Yeah.
When we're trading a stock, a ticker, we have to check it every day. I actually check market net flow almost every 15, 30 minutes, but because I'm an active trader, I trade the market since 9:30 a.m. Eastern until the market closes, until the final closing bell rings. But of course, you don't have to keep an eye on 20 tickers net flow on different time frames. You can trust other people doing it. For example, that's what we do here on the server. But for example, if you're just trading NVIDIA, right? Let's say NVIDIA is your trade for this week. I would be requesting the net flow data every day. Today we have net flow data. If tomorrow market opens and something has happened and we're seeing strong bullish flow for NVIDIA invalidating the breakdown, well, that is what it is. And we should adapt to the latest market data as we have to trade what we see and not what we would like to see, what we hope, what we feel, or what we think. We have to be cold, objective traders to trade what the charts are signaling. Right now, the charts are signaling a bearish breakdown for NVIDIA, and they are also signaling that bearish flow coming in. with the current price action back up by the current market data, it's presenting a short opportunity here for NVIDIA.
Couple questions for you, Paulo, from the crowd. I just want to
Of
say
course,
that the way when I'm looking at your chart right now, I really like to see on your time frame that you have 4 hours. I'd like to see a nice 4-hour candle like not lay on top of your trend line for me to have more conviction in that put trade, cuz so often we have fake outs where we touch it, we break right below it, we're still laying on it and consolidate on top of it for a while you're losing money on a straight call or a straight put. And so what I always say is if you want an easy tip and you're just looking at your charts and you can see a 20 EMA trend line, you can use whatever you want. But if you can get depending on the chart time frame that you're on, if you can get a confirmation candle that's completely away from it, then that creates a little bit more conviction that, okay, the move is starting in the direction that you thought without you sitting there in consolidation for several days. And so just something to take in
correct.
consideration as a little tip.